right where it's almost hits Fourth, there's like two new storm drains right there that come out of this.
I didn't know there were new storm drains there. Did we put those in?
They're painted yellow.
Are they?
They might have just painted yellow.
No, they didn't used to be there because there was like cones and there was holes dug in there. Then they were there.
Cedar and Fourth?
Behind pizza, yeah, behind the car wash where it goes all the way to Fourth, there are T's and there's that house.
That might be private storm, which we have. Some,
Oh,
it can end up into our system, obviously, but.
We'll look into it and see.
yeah, they're all painted nice and yellow with like.
I do know there was some yellow that was painted due to, that's part of the, municipal compliance, so making sure that we paint like, flows to the stream or something like that on there, things of that nature.
I don't really remember it being there, it looked brand new.
Maybe the one,
Fresh
maybe the
coat
one
thing.
catches your
I
eye.
swear there was holes in the ground that were dug with fencing around
I know
it.
in-house, we did reduce some
Yeah.
boxes, so that may
We
be.
did those. We replaced those in-house. When I dropped my car off at Knuckles, I walked by there and I remember we did replace those too.
Yeah, it was like,
Yep, you're right.
earlier this year. Like that.
Yeah, we did those ourselves and yes, that would have been paid for out of here.
Oh, alright.
You-
Oh, yeah, now I really think I'm getting old, like.
It's further, that's further behind Pizza Hut.
All the way where it tees into Fourth.
Yeah, there's two of them that we replaced.
One each side of the road,
Yeah.
And when you say you feel like you're getting old, I wonder why you look at me.
yeah. You were smiling.
This is
Well, I
really
get a
big
little
difference
punch
in town.
there.
I mean, to be able to do projects like that, I know flooding was a big problem here 3 to 5 years ago.
When I worked at
don't think
O'Reilly's, we used to have to get a boat to get to our car. We weren't allowed to run the water into the cities, and so the whole parking lot filled up every time it rained.
Things continue to get better with the water drainage.
The new development's the biggest reason. People
Sure.
don't, they think the opposite is true, but when you are slowing down the velocity the water's moving with these detention ponds, less places flood.
I feel like the only place I really see flooding is when we do get one foot of rain in one night, but it's like people's backyards, which is not, I mean, we can't.
A lot of it's because people have done projects where they.
Well, like we had to put drain pipe in, you know, I don't think Goddard was constructed with a lot of that, so.
Even though the development's help, sometimes final grading in Georgia is not adequate for the localized water.
We make you do a 4-corner lot certification, which I don't think was happening until 3 years ago to
Okay, that makes
certify
sense,
it.
yeah.
Huh.
But once it's been certified, that doesn't stop people from putting in their berms and gardens and koi
Mhm.
ponds and, or if they think they have a drainage issue, they fix it and pass it on
Oh,
to the
yeah,
next lot.
that's what I. Alright.
It's your fault.
I know one time you talked about over there behind Ace Hardware, clearing out that area, is that kind of?
It's on the list.
List.
Yep. I wanted to send goats back there, but
I know.
we're not doing that, I
Can
guess.
we put that on the agenda for a conference?
That was a bad idea.
Oh no, I used to leak the ground.
Alright. That's
It's
what
February. Alright. Okay, so let's just talk about the revenue, kind of the trends that we're seeing here. We have revenue coming in from our residential and commercial stormwater fees and our building permits. Our building permits again are down. Those will probably come back up when season changes, so, and a little bit of interest income as well. So, you know, we're gonna see probably around 132,000, 137,000 this year and next, to just keep adding to the fund. So one of the changes that you'll, what?
You guys are the fun.
Oh, yeah.
Fun and fun.
And fun. Are you having fun? I have a blast. Stormwater maintenance project. So in the past, you'd seen this broken out just a little bit differently. You would have seen GIS mapping, camera work, and some other things. We decided to just combine that all into one because it's not always getting utilized on that line item, and we want to just kind of dedicate it to a project. So this kind of gives us leeway to, you know, move those funds just into that line item. Conservatively, I just chose $50,000 if the project's probably going to happen this year, $175,000 next year. We don't really have anything lined up. There's just some budgeted numbers. We do budget 100% of our cash over and beyond for state budget purposes. So I mean, we stick to these budgets, but if need to use some more of the fund balance for a reason, we have budget authority to do that at a later point in time. So, if that happens, then we would bring that to you and say, we're gonna, increase the budget by that to accommodate that. Our fund balance compliance is showing, in 2026, we should end at about 245,000. So again, this fund's grown quite a bit. That's if we do $50,000 worth of projects. We're sitting at 491%, so again, we're doing fine, and, I just estimated out into the future things we could possibly do, probably 3%, 5% increase into the future. But again, those will change every year, but we've got plenty of money to do, the projects we wanna do right now for those purposes. All right. This one will be really easy, Special Parks and Recreation Fund. So just to remind you, it's always kind of confusing that we have a Parks and Rec Department within the general fund, and then we have the Special Parks and Recreation Fund on its own. So as a reminder, the one in the general fund handles kind of the maintenance, the mowing, stocking toilet paper, the commodities, those types of things in our park. This is more kind of usually used for capital projects. We're gonna do the splash pad, we're gonna build something, we're gonna take care of major projects. This is kind of where these dollars come out of. So, doesn't have a whole lot of revenue. The only revenue that it gets is some interest income, some community impact fees from new developments, and then transfers in from the general fund. So when we did the general fund and we had some projects that we deemed we wanted to pay out of this fund, we transferred that over into this. And so there was a couple of projects that landed over here. So those projects. So in 2026, we didn't have any budget, we didn't have any projects planned. We don't really plan to spend any money out of here. And our intention was we're gonna try to just leave this fund alone this year and kind of let it build up because it was getting kind of low. Because North Park's coming online and or Legacy Bank Park's coming online and it's changed it there.
Drove by that.
Changed it on there.
To change, that minus $1 plus $1, you're not even close.
So, we talked about doing some sprinkler work in Linear Park for $25,000, so the transfer's coming in to help pay for that cost. And then we put Legacy Bank Park maintenance for $100,000. We don't really know yet what that's gonna entail. We may have some mowing costs that we're not prepared for, but probably a good portion of Legacy Bank Park costs are probably gonna start coming out of this fund into the future is kind of how I envision that, since it's so large and gonna require different things. That kind of keeps track of it over there a little better. So,
It'll look like the Tanca first season.
yeah. So, not to say we wouldn't do splash pad projects over here too, or other larger projects for parks, but that's where this is it. So we have about 125,000 budgeted. Not sure if we're going to use that 100,000 for Legacy Bank Park, but we want to have it there just to be on the safe side. Fund balance compliance. Since we don't typically do much out of here, like I said, we don't have a whole lot of revenue coming in unless we make a transfer in right now from the general fund, unless the community impact fees pick up some. So we're looking at an ending fund balance at the end of 2026 of 271,000, 221,000 in 2027, and again, I just kind of evened it out to kind of make it in and out because we really don't know what. Kind of we don't know what it's gonna do. Yeah.
Conservative.
Any questions on Special Parks and Recreation Fund? Hey, Danny said she wanted to present her own. You know what she said? Like what? We love our Danny. All right.
I can point.
Tourism and Promotion Fund. This is our final one tonight. this is one that this is probably the one that gets the most in the red, ones that probably the most concerning, but it's nothing that I'm not unaware that this is, we're in the same boat as we were last year, and we kind of projected if we keep it this rate, we're gonna run out of money in this fund, and just some things have happened, and I'm not concerned with it, it's just not unexpected. I've got a long-term plan if something happens, but right now, as you recall, this is our transit guest tax, fund where it's deposited at, and you know, we budgeted, I believe, I think we budgeted like $25,000 of revenue coming in hopefully in 2026, but I projected it, I'm hoping to get 10. Right now I think we're sitting at about 3,000 brought in. There's just some collection issues that are outside of our control that eventually they'll be collected and we will get them, but it's out of our control until that happens.
What is it?
So the people who own the hotel, which the one in Star Bond District, we don't get that, it goes towards the Star Bond. When that comes online in 2 years, we'll have a lot of money, we're trying to figure out what to put it towards in this tourism promotion fund, but the roadway and then all the Airbnbs and bed and breakfasts and anything like that that pay into that, if they're not making their sales tax payments on time and consistently, then it lags for when we receive those revenues, so there's not really a lot we can do about it. One of our city attorneys came over from K-Dor, so very specialized and intelligent about how taxes go from her time working for Kansas Department of Revenue, so we've got a good helper as far as dealing with these kinds of things, and there's not a lot we can do about it. Just have to know that we'll get them eventually.
And until then, the general fund will probably have to continue to give it some support until we keep it going. A little bit of interest income is earned, and there's our general fund support. So we estimate we'll probably give this fund about $75,000 this year. I dropped it down to $60,000 next year, just because I'm trying to find that sweet spot. If we have to give them more, we will. I don't think we will next year. Going forward, we may have to, but just kind of trying to wean off the general fund, and hopefully this fund starts working on its own without that need. We have revenues coming in from all of the events that Danny manages. We have dollars coming in from the Main Street Market. Last year we brought in about $7,200. I'm projecting $7,000, just kind of on what I could see through the middle of the year. National Night Out, we brought in $3,200. I'm budgeting conservatively just because you just never know, they may come in better than this. Christmas on Main Street, $3,200. That's what we brought in last year, budgeting conservatively at $3,000. Fall Fest, $32,000. $28,000 is projected, $28,000 next year. Now, I think Danny's got some plans to really beef that up, and her committee's working on some different things. So I think these are really conservative numbers. So anything over this would be great. Again, just as a reminder, last year was kind of our first year, and we're kind of trying to figure this out, and what's our cost really going to be. You know, Danny's really trying to take something from scratch and run with it. So each year that we get into it, it'll be even better and better with the numbers. So we're still learning this fund, still managing it. Total revenue, 2026 expected overall $135,000. Next year about $127,000. And again, a lot of that is that transient guest tax. And I just want to remind you, some of you guys weren't here, that $76,000 was dollars we shouldn't have received because it should have gone to the Star Bond, and if we got it instead, it was messed up. So that's why it's so large that year, and we don't expect to bring that in quite yet. So that's why you see that number there. Expense summary, our personnel costs are about $79,000. Contractuals and commodities are $17,000 and $5,000, and then we have our program funds. So anything Danny can identify goes to Main Street Market or National Night Out, they get included in the program expenses. If there's anything outside of those, like some overall advertising or swag or, you know, commodities and other items, they go into the contractuals and commodities. So that's kind of how that's all broken up. Danny's fund also got a different allocation of software and insurance and all the things that a full-time employee in a department gets. I think last year she wasn't getting some of those things, so some of those costs were allocated here, kind of beefing those up just a bit.
Cause who went to the city or school?
We have a Neighbors United question.
Yeah.
Okay, so it shows up on the last one as a revenue, that's sponsorships, right?
The 556.
Yes,
Yes.
that's fine.
Neighbors United.
Okay, yeah,
So technically, we see that as a revenue, but that doesn't like cover what we paid out. Like, when you're just seeing the revenue, she's not showing you what our expenses are.
And just as the committee had voted this year that had there been any funds left, they would have been donated to like the food pantry or
That's
something
what I was
of
curious.
the, yeah, they don't say as a,
Any excess that may not get used
Mhm.
is redistributed or something.
Yeah.
that was a discussion this year, yeah,
So who runs Neighbors United? I thought it was the school.
the city.
The city.
We run it, but
We
the
administrate
volunteer,
it, but then the
there's a
school
chair
helps
and
also.
The oversight goes through the city, but really, it's a conjunction,
Yeah.
the city, the church,
But, so the city controls all the,
Yeah,
Right.
we do all the finances for it and all the sponsorships
all
and
the
all the
events.
money
funnels
circulation.
through the city.
Yeah.
Used to be the chamber now.
the chamber ran Neighbors United, right?
Mhm.
Oh.
I don't,
But I think
it's
if
a long
you're,
history, this.
That's what I was wondering,
Right.
I started, I
It
guess
didn't
I'm
Policy
still
Policy speaking,
getting
the
surprised with things
chamber.
that are heavily influenced by the city versus sponsored by the city, like, it comes across as different, looking in the community for different events.
technically, all of these are city events, quote unquote, but especially Neighbors United is heavily led by the school.
Right.
And these obviously community aspects of it too, but
I think that's why there was such a careful question, I mean, it was talked about a lot, like, none of those funds left, which there weren't any, everything was like in-kind donations this year, but nothing left stays with the city, it would have been donated back to like a food pantry
Right.
or something, there would have been, essentially every year Neighbors United will be a wash.
No, I mean, that makes sense, again, I'm still being surprised with things like, from a community and civilian perspective,
It wasn't clear.
it's not ran by the people that you think it's, what's it?
seeing behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Well, and I mean, the city helped train the students, like Dane find them, he helps train them as well.
Danny does
But
all
then
that.
like I help them with learning how to sell sponsorships, learning how to go door to door.
right, I mean, I guess just prior to this year, like all the years I've done it, I thought it was all of the schools that ran it, like from the get-go. Like from year one, it seemed like.
For a handful of years, they were chamber events until we took them over last year. I
Right.
think there was a period of time where it was actually under the school officially too, so.
Still the
And Fall
church and
Fest was a
park.
Lions Club thing for a long time until that became a chamber thing, so it's really they
Hopefully
shift
move on.
around.
Yeah.
We'll see how long the city has them.
You're saying thing.
And,
Yeah, keep it straight.
Okay, just some highlights, I think I pretty much already mentioned this, our transit guest tax revenues declined, so again, that's an issue, we're working through as we can. The program expenditures at 63.5 support, the Main Street Markets, National Night Out, Fall Fest, Christmas on Main Street, and Neighbors United. There might be a few small costs for the movie night, at the library.
yeah,
We got a few small costs in there too for that one. New allocation for property liability insurance, cyber liability coverage, workers' comp, city IT services, so, you know, all of those, catch-all, this year. Yeah, and I already said that the 2025 expenditures were based on estimates and, you know, our budgets are getting better and clearer as, you know, we're running this and learning what it's all about, so. This is where I said if we get in the red, and this is something that we saw last year in our budget presentation, so, you know, we're kind of expecting this fund to struggle until it decides to pick up and, you know, really take off and grow. At the end of 2026, I project our ending fund balance to be about 147,000. And again, that's with those conservative, revenues that I think I've really been conservative. So we'll see if we excel there. 2027, we're kind of getting down here, into 108,000 being our fund, our ending fund balance, which is still at 65%, but not, that's where I start getting nervous. And then in 2028, probably 2027, actually in 2026, I'm really gonna watch where we are. I'm gonna make sure we are where we are. And I haven't made any, I guess this does take into consideration, yet I have not made any transfers to the general fund yet, but I'll watch this really close and make sure it's where I want it to be. And again, in 2027, I'll be watching it just to make sure, and when we're doing the budgeting, we'll see where we are and see if our revenues are up. I mean, there isn't any immediate danger or worry, but it's not pretty in the long run if we just kept it like this. So there'll have to be some discussions on some more funding or some more support from the general fund or something like that. Or maybe our transit guest tax
That
kick in and
kicks
we're
in
good.
2028, hopefully, if the
Yeah.
Star
So
One pays off.
there's a lot of moving components with this, so we'll just keep an eye on it
Within a
and we'll
year.
just see. Yeah.
Well, the hotel is performing much higher than it was in 2024 when we got that 76,000. They've really increased their weekday lodging, so I think when that comes online, we'll have a lot more money.
That's
That was
it
the
for
first year they were open. That was the last thing to open out of all the businesses.
Okay. So that's it for tonight. What you guys can expect for the next meeting will be, it should be shorter. We've got capital improvement fund. We've got a lot of projects happening there this year and next year. So we have a lot to discuss there. A really good fund balance in the capital reserve fund for the city portion. I think this month, as I did, I think we're sitting at 2.6 million over there in city pieces, city money. So we've got a lot of leeway to do some projects that we need to do next year. We will talk about the equipment reserve fund and then the small funds. We'll just breeze through those real quickly because there's really nothing to talk about. It's an in and out situation or just. Then we can talk about any direction, any changes. Maybe you've thought of something between now and then that we want to change. But then after we're done there, if there isn't any reason for another meeting, then my plan would be to bring the budget, the completed budget document, state forms to the consent agenda for the last meeting in July's meeting, just for you to look at and see. And then I plan to probably send the hearing notice to the paper on August 1st is my goal. So that's kind of my timeline on what I plan to do. So unless something changes, then we need to meet.
I just really appreciate the adjustments that you've made as it relates to the building growth. You've been conservative in leveling those off, knowing that maybe we've got an uptick in the cycle coming into next year, but it keeps us in a good position if things don't turn up as fast as we think. So I think the adjustments you've made are really spot on. That'll keep your things in balance and keep that streak rolling from year to year. So not that we'll hold you to it being exactly matching. So hard to get better than that. So appreciate all your hard work on it. So, and I think hopefully our community appreciates the fact of, I mean, this is full disclosure. I mean, there's really not any questions of where money's going, where it's coming from. Hasn't always been the case in Goddardville, so thank you. Anybody else have any comments here before we wrap this up? I'll make a motion that we adjourn. Wait a second. Everybody seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Aye.